welcome everyone. My name is Dorota and welcome to my podcast, Ethical Hacking and Wholesomeness. I wanted to start with a disclaimer. We're not doing anything suspicious here, just sharing knowledge, talking about cybersecurity and other things today. And why am I here? About me, I'm an offensive security specialist and I'm kind of obsessed with social engineering. That's why I talk a lot about that on during conferences, presentations. And I have now 2 podcasts. This one, Ethical Hacking and Wholesomeness. And I also created another one this year to highlight amazing ladies in the industry. And that one is called Inspiring Ladies of Cyber. And why am I here? To highlight people that are really cool, important in the industry, and I just want to highlight them and show them to the world and to maybe a different audience that they have already. Okay, and here we are again. Welcome to the show where we look at the invisible canvas of wireless signals and find the joy in understanding how things connect. Today on Ethical Hacking Guests and Wholesomeness Podcast, we are joined by Christian Iceman Herrmann. I hope I pronounced that well. And he is a legendary open source developer, founder of IceDev, and a true Proxmark3 artist who spends his days turning complex RFID hacking into welcoming space for everyone to learn and grow. And context for why am I talking about canvases and stuff like that. So for this podcast, I envisioned that it could be hence the wholesomeness in the name, could be a space that would feel a bit like if Bob Ross was a hacker. So I'm trying to put that more into my podcast and put more wholesomeness and put a bit more Bob Ross here. So yeah, just to explain that. And I'm going to give the space to Iceman now. Iceman, thank you for joining us on the show. Can you introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your background?
Hi, I'm Iceman and I do RFID hacking, and I have been maintaining the Proxmark repository for a long time in both official one and then what is known as Iceman fork or RRG Proxmark3 repo. I have then become somehow the poster boy on RFID hacking in the world, where I guess it's because I travel around and do talks at a lot of conferences where I talk about RFID hacking on the latest things. I also do a YouTube channel where I try to talk about more intricate things without pushing the boundaries of YouTube's policy rules of hacking, and yes, talk about fun things and inspiring things. I've also been doing a capture the flag competition together at St. Con with some amazing people there. And yeah, I try to just bring inspiration of RFID hacking wherever I go because I love it. That's me, basically.
Thank you. That was great. And another question is a bit more on the personal side, if that's fine with you. What makes you smile and what brings you joy?
That's an interesting part. I have to tell you that because how to say this? It comes away from things. There is beauty in life, and in the world we're living, in that sense, far away from all the computers, there are moments and shared experiences. And when you're trying to live in that space where all that happens, I think some people call it the now, it brings me joy. That brings smiles to my face in the meetings and, interacting with people and looking at the world way away from computers. But then on the other hand, I have to be completely honest, I do love my hacking as well.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I feel the rush of popping another machine or getting the admin domain admin. That's the best feeling.
Oh, we love that dopamine.
Yeah, but I also really like spending time on my cycling or just breathing the air when I'm in the forest. So there has to be a middle ground. Or otherwise, I would just get obsessed with hacking and do it all day and do boxes and whatever. Okay, but I digress here talking about myself again. So I'm going to make the screen a bit smaller again and show an article about Flipper One that I saw today. So yeah, showing the screen here with like the yeah, you can see all my tabs, but doesn't matter. Going to share the link in the chat. So I want to ask a question about this announcement from today. That it was shared by the Flipper devices in C. And so I quote, with Flipper One, we're reimagining what a Linux cyber deck can be. What are your thoughts on the completely new creation that Flipper One seems to be in comparison with Flipper Zero? And I will like scroll a bit down and come back to you. Okay, it's like so totally different thing. But let's go back to Iceman there. Big screen. So what do you think about that? Like what? Yeah, it's like a new device. Are you excited? I know I am.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited for them in that sense. I mean, from the maker space to make something, and I've been able to share that journey with our RFID research group, and Dennis with bringing Proxmark to the community. I know that bringing a new device out is really hard, and a lot of people don't understand the stress and the burden that comes with it. Not really, even if you do crowdfunding, it's really, really rough. You have to have the money in, you have to deliver things, and you have to do so much things. And in the end, people go like disappointed or something, because you sell them a dream, and if that dream is not fulfilled in every possible way, it's like people are gonna get a little bit emotional disappointed. But as a maker and seeing them getting the tremendous success with Flipper Zero, but it took them years, but they really touched down. I mean, I didn't think much about it. I mean, Pavel there thanked me in his Kickstarter back in the days as an inspiration. So that's a part of it. Very honors of him. And he started out in the Proxmark world, in the RFID hacking world, so you have to know that. But in that sense, it's like bringing a tool out like that is really, really hard. And he did it. He got tremendous success, because I read that Kickstarter page and I was like, even I wanted to buy it. And I'm really hard in buying things, but I don't need that stuff, right? I have enough. And then when I saw the Kickstarter, I was like, yeah, I can see why I want to buy it, And so did a lot of other people, and that's why it was a massive success. But it was also brought in like this idea of 5 or 6 different open source projects with doing different kinds of hacks, right? So we unified all of that stuff, made a hardware platform, and made it cute and gamifying with the Flipper. And that's really, really good. It took them a couple of years to get really there, but build up a whole ecosystem and a whole community. And it filled a niche, right? And the entry to hacking, the barrier for that, is really low with the Flipper. And that's the target audience. It also is a perfect demo for people who are doing red teaming like yourself. It's like, you have a customer and you can just take your little Flipper and clone a card or open a garage door or whatever you do, and it brings home the message really, really fast on the field. Now with the Flipper One, as I've seen it, I've heard about this one for a long time, and I've seen the, behind the stories about some of it, because, that's what happens. It's more like a whole Linux thing, right? And now you're not competing as a specialized hacking gadget. It's more like competing with Raspberry Pi and Arduino. And yeah, that's even a bigger challenge for themselves. But on the upside, they have a huge, massive success with the Flipper One and the community they built. So we have loyal people there wanting to see new things. With Flipper One, apparently just doesn't have backwards compatibility with old add-ons and all that stuff, so that's going to be an issue for them. But I think it's going to be like that. But if I take it from the perspective of our RFID hacking community, we tend to see the Flipper Zero as a stepping stone. Once you get into things, like we call the RFID hacking a deep rabbit hole. Once you fall into that hole, you never know how long it is, how far you're going to fall. It's like Alice in Wonderland, because you want to learn more and more and more, and then you realize I need other devices, specialized devices, and you always end up in the Proxmark world. And then from there you spread out. Same thing with red team and pen testers. They have a flipper because you can do it for one thing, for initial things, and then it comes down back to cloners and Proxmarks, and then trying to do the long weaponized readers and doing all other stuff. But yeah, I really hope it goes well for them, because I know the trouble, the pain and the stress that is related to it. And I can imagine Pavel's and the flipper teams burden, or the emotional burden with, they had a one-hit wonder, they had a massive success, and now they need to find the follow-up album. It's like an artist makes this one-hit wonder. You don't want to be a one-hit wonder. You want to make the next album equally successful, right? And that's where they and that's a rough spot, because it's not the same device they're doing. It's a completely, like a Linux thing. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for your thoughts on that. And yeah, I'm actually looking forward to like finding out what. Actually, I can read the article, but like what it'll be like actually doing, and like having my hands on it. And so you mentioned something. I didn't have it in my questions, but I kind of know what you will say as your answer will be, but. So you mentioned something that it's like a stepping stone and beginning of the learning path, the Flipper Zero, and it's actually that thing for me that I first got the Flipper before I heard like Proxmark, and there's like iCopy, and I didn't know which one like to choose. Right? So I thought maybe Flipper Zero would be like the entry path for me and like beginning of the learning journey. And so yeah, I do agree. It's like a first step, and then people want to do more, want to do faster. And so I kind of know what you will say, but like what you would choose, Proxmark3 or iCopy, if you like for the next device after Flipper?
Oh, which one you prefer? Depends on what you do. I mean, it comes all down to
Personal.
what do you want to achieve? What do you want to solve, right? Do you want to copy RFID cards and don't want to learn? Then an iCopy or a cloner, or whatever cloner. We have a blue gun cloner, the white cloners, but tons of them, and buy that if that's your purpose. If it fits the specific thing that you need to target, right? If you're a pen tester, red teamer who's do on assignments, you need to be aware of all the devices that's out there. You can't just prefer one. You need to know all of them, and you need to know more about the actual attacks and the limits of attacks and how and what works in the field, which is even more experience and hard knowledge that is hard to come by. And then you end up in Proxmark world then eventually. If you're a researcher, you always go to the Proxmark world first and do your research. And then once you found everything else, you spread it out to the Flipper world and do the FAPs, and to have this, like I say, this simple introductory wow effect, right? So the demo where people open the Tesla doors, right? The same thing there. That's what you do, right? So you get the mass effect. You want to reach out to Flipper people. You want to have attention to your bug or findings. That's what you do. It's just part of the ecosystem of where you are. So I don't need a Flipper. I don't need an iCopy. I have it all. Trust me, I have everything nowadays. And I don't use anything else but my Proxmark. That's what I do. That's my everyday carry. I sit in this room most of the time doing these hacks, so yeah.
Okay, that's actually good feedback. Yeah. And I will take note of it. And like, actually, I do agree with you. Like, probably it's more like a preference for all kinds of people. But let's get to the next question, and it's like a bit Bob Rossi there. So bear with me. In your GitHub repository, you've built this incredible thriving ecosystem around the Proxmark3. When you look at writing open source code for RFID, I cannot pronounce that acronym, RFID tools. Do you see it as a form of creative artistry? And Bob Ross used to say, I think there's an artist hidden on the bottom, at the bottom of every single one of us. What was the first happy stroke of the brush that made you fall in love with this space? That's a long question, but like, yeah.
That's a long question. Let me see if I can break it down to you. If I see it as a creative artistry, yes, it's for me. I love solving problems, right? That's the basis of it. That's why I'm an RFID researcher. That's why I do things. I'm a software developer in the bottom of it, and I usually call it my wall of shame over here. This is my, I don't know if you see it, but this is my very nice certificate that was nice to have once upon a time, and to prove that you could do software development for Microsoft. So it's signed by Bill Gates, and then it was Steve Ballmer and all that crap. And so I'm a software developer in the bottom, and I love solving problems, right? But when it comes to Proxmark world, it gave me a happiness, right? So I tell this story about when I get started with it and why I ended up in the Proxmark world, to begin with. Back in the days, I hacked things and did that, but I was like, didn't do very much of it. So I get through a divorce, and I was really miserable in my life. I really felt crap. It was the only thing I can remember for that time was black. And I also remember I need to do something with myself to make myself happy. And I realized I love computers. I love computers very much. I love hacking very much, the mysteriously hacking things, right? And I said to myself, it's like, maybe I should do something. Maybe I should do something naughty. Maybe I should buy myself a hack tool. And when you start Googling for hack tools, it's tons of them out there. And it just happened by fluke. That was an article in the newspapers in my hometown about another town on the other side of the country where I live in, Sweden, called Umeå, and the Umeå hacking space, where they were hacking the bus ticket transport system, right? And they were looking into these RFID tickets, and that was so fucking awesome. And we talked about a tool that was called Proxmark. And I was like, RFID and bus ticket. Yeah, how does that work? This is just, you take a card and you bleep it and it works. And I was like, yeah, how does that work? I'm like, wonder. And it turned out, even more fluke, that the ticket system, the transport ticket system in my hometown was the exact same as in theirs. So I happy like a little kid again on Christmas, typing in on Alibaba or whatever it is, and go like, Proxmark3. And it turned out they are $300. It was a lot of money, but I said to myself, well, you deserve something. So I ordered that one, and the first initial kick of buying something, it's it's kind of buyer's kick, and then you forget about it because it takes time. So 2 weeks goes by, and I get a package. I pick that package up, and I'm like, oh yeah, right. So I open it up, and I'm happy. I'm really, really happy about things, right? So I'm looking at that little thing, and it's a PCB board. And I'm like, now what? And it's 2 antennas, and it's like, okay, well, I can do this. I've been into IT for many years, right? So let's do this. So you Google, you find some open source directory called Proxmark open source directory. I'm running on Windows. Everybody was recommending Linux, and I downloaded it all and tried to make it work with this Mingvi and Sigvin, which is this Linux emulators on Windows, which is a mess in that sense. That was before the WSL that Microsoft released a couple of years ago, or 10 years ago. And I tried to install it, right? And I tried to compile it. Back in the day, things wasn't that smooth, right? And it didn't work. And I failed tremendously. And the disappointment of not working out. And I went on the Discord, and not Discord, but the Proxmark forum, the old forum style thing, and asked questions. And people go like, did you follow the guide? And I'm like, I know how to develop things. I know how to do things. I should be able to compile a damn thing, right? And I didn't, and that disappointment that triggered me so much. The initial happiness, the dopamine kick of having it, just disappeared and became, love and hate becomes to this dip instead. And it's like, ugh. So I was like, I don't know. It's like I packed it up and I put it up on a shelf I have a shelf up here in my office, and I lay it there. So because I wasn't ready to learn, this is the whole quintessence of what this talk is about. I wasn't ready. I wasn't open enough to humble myself to say, okay, I don't know. Let's start from beginning, right? Let's just do that. Yeah, I thought I knew, right? I should be able to do this. That's what I was taught. So I had this thing, and it was like a cat laying up there. It's this love-hate relationship where the cat looks down on you, despising you. It's like, ugh, you're worthless. And I get reminded of myself, of my failures every time I looked up there. And yeah, it took me a month. It took me 2 months. Well, God wanted me to suffer a little bit longer, so it actually took me 6 months before I was ready. And I said to myself, like, look, Christian, you wanted to do this, how about you give it one more try, and you see, if it doesn't work, you at least did it, and then you accept failure. So I took it down again. I was like, okay, follow the guide. Where's the guide? What guide? And then follow the steps of the guide, and it compiled. And I'm like, okay, great. Now I'm going to flash an embedded device. And I'm like, I never flashed an embedded device, but I type in the message, the command for it, flash all, and it says, have a good day, have a nice day. And I'm like, yes. And now I memorized all the next steps, because that's what I, when I didn't got stuck in that stuff, I memorized all the steps I'm going to do now. So I type in Proxmark in the command, the COM port that I needed. Up comes this Proxmark client. I rush out to my wallet and bring my bus ticket card. I put it on the Proxmark, and I type in HFMF dark side. That's my tag. Press enter, and it comes up. Dark side is running. Estimated runtime 27 seconds or 25 seconds. It took 27 seconds when the first key came out, and I was like, so that dopamine kick I got, I can still feel it today, and that's what burns in me inside. This is like more. I'm like Nero in Matrix, like this, I know Kung Fu. Nice. The same thing there. And that's the story how Iceman became.
Yeah, that's like a very cool story, and like you also said it, like told the story in like a very entertaining way. So I was like really like, will it flash? Will it work? So yeah, thank you. I sometimes when like people say something really cool about themselves, I'm like want to talk about my story there, but I'm like just going to pump the brake on
Tell
that
us your
one.
story. Don't be like that.
Yeah, I just like to maybe quickly that when I was a teenager, I was like sneaking into physics department because I didn't own a computer, so I just wanted to play with theirs. So that was kind of like my first like touching, technology kind of like a situation. And then I was like a shy person when I was a teenager, so kind of like society told me, I don't know, my family, that, oh, you don't know math, you shouldn't go to computer science. So I didn't, and I studied economics. And then, a lot years later, there was the Mr. Robot TV show came out, and I saw that TV show and was like blown away. And like I remember what was like the rush of sneaking into the physics department for me, and like what I actually wanted to be when I grew up. And that's like what I was. I was working for government and like doing like boring stuff like accounting, European Union funds, and uh, writing with my pencil with my back around on my desk. So that was so sucking job experience. And I remembered, yeah, Mr. Robot. I wanted to be like him, not like hidden in the basement in a black hoodie, like hacking all the things, but like that intelligence and like the knowledge was like very tempting, like knowing all that things that like 90% of society doesn't know, kind of like was really like tempting to me. So yeah, I just like started figuring out how to enter IT first, then cybersecurity, and here I am, I guess. And so my next question for you is to make it a bit faster. because I digress a lot. Maintaining a massive open source project can be overwhelming, but you managed to foster a really collaborative community. How do you keep the environment welcoming for newcomers who might feel intimidated by the complexities of the RFID hacking?
That's a very good question. I don't know how we do it. I think I usually say when organizations or companies, if you feel a company is shit, it's usually because shit flows from above and down. So you can just look at the boss and that boss and whatever boss who goes upwards and see how high it goes and see if bad values that's fair. But in the end of the day, we just have to remember that we all been beginners, and you try them to guide them towards learning. Everybody's passionate to come in with all this high energy. Most of them's like, yeah, I want to clone things because it's so simple. I've seen a video about it. And you go like, yeah, cool. Well, yeah, I like your energy, cool. Maybe it's not that easy as you think it is, but and you have to just guide them through towards the light, instead of, back in the days, it was really different. The OGs at the forum time was rough. It was a rough spot. I remember it's like I don't want it to be like that. It's you needed to prove yourself all the time, and I never found that very productive. It's like you have to reinvent the wheel over and over because of what learning. It's like it's like you have to look at an LF, low frequency signal, and then you have to manually decode it into Manchester, and then from there know how to decode it into vegan card number and facility codes. That level was it. Yes, I can do that. I can look at both ASK, PSK, and FSK, and I can do all that shit. But I didn't think that is very productive because I wanted to do research. I was like, I can't use that. This takes way too long to do. This is not how it is. This should be able to automate these things. And that leaves us to a lot of OGs is like this hard collected information and knowledge that was not spread and was like really, really rough. I remember I had to, in order to get some iClass stuff from Midnight Snake was its username. I've seen you back in the on LinkedIn now, and love to see you back in the community, by the way. But it was like, in order to get some files, I need to encrypt it with iClass original AA1 key that was like figured out. And but the level of distrust and not learning was gigantic. So when I do things, you meet up with the good people of stuff. So a person like Philip Turven, Jojox, ended up, in the crossfire in that sense, 2018 after we did the RDV4. And he is also from the libNFC world, which is also this community building, open source building. And he has also this ideas of, guide people in there in that sense. And we just spread that, and if you just, lead by being compassionate in that sense, you say, this is okay, this is not okay. So for the Discord that we have now, which is, I'm proud to say this, is the world's largest RFID hacking Discord in the world. And we're like 19,000 members on that one. And most of them are lurkers, but it doesn't matter to me. Everybody's welcome whenever we come. Everybody spends the time they want to spend. But I call it, I tell my moderators and people to see it as I invite them home to my home. You don't come into my home and put your feet on the table and start screaming, shouting, and making a mess, right? So have a clean language and focus only on RFID hacking, and then willing to learn, and then we guide them. That's what we do.
Thank you. And like the part of like you as a Polish person, I have to say that out loud. The part where you say someone coming into my house in shoes. I don't know if you said in shoes, but I saw someone coming into my house in shoes and got a bit triggered there. But it's like just my Polish there. We don't we take the shoes off when we just sacrilege in the comments. we don't do that here, So yeah, be nice. Thank you for your answer. And another one is open source development often involves trial and error. We can share a time when a major bug or mistake is in the code actually led to a happy accident, a breakthrough, or a feature you hadn't originally planned for.
Well, there are plenty of those moments, and I mean, I have several stories about that one. I usually tell the story about the MyFair Classic, the dark side attack bug that I fixed, that I was obsessed with fixing. But I realized I can take another one that's so much newer, and it relates to Kevin Sheldrake's High-Tag 2 attacks, which was implemented on the RFID tool, which is a tool by Adam Laurie and Zach McCracken, I think it was. Great little tool, great LF things, and it hacks High-Tag 2 cards very, very good. Great at sniffing. So Kevin Sheldrake implemented the academic papers, right? So you have a hierarchy of things. First, you have academics like Philip Rule, Verdult, and other, what's all the names? Milosh and others make academic papers, PhD papers about hacking cryptos or how. And then from there, they never release any tools, right? Or they introduce some bugs in it. And then from there, you need to have a community of someone painfully enough implement it in open source world. And Kevin Sheldrake did that 2018, 2017 for RFID. So I decided 2019 in my hubris that I'm gonna, of course, bring that stuff over to Proxmark world, because hey, the Proxmark should be able to do everything. And well, needless to say, our idler source code handles things differently. It handles strings, hex strings instead of byte arrays. Proxmarks do byte arrays in certain little endian way sometimes, and then big endian sometimes. Whilst our fiddler did it much easier and said, we're just going to look at a hex string, and from there we're going to do things and make another binary strings out of it. But it all strings. So when you see a 1 and a 0 there, it's a bit place in a byte array, right? So it's not the same place. And I tried that and I failed tremendously. And then 2-3 years later, 2023, I was like, I got to meet Kevin. Or was it before or after? I was after. And I decided, let's do another try. Let's see if we can get this working now. I failed last time. It was like 4 or 5 years later. And I was doing live streams about it actually like this, and I remember doing things. I was like, what is going wrong? What's like, and I've changed. I looked at all the functions that's there on the device side, because I don't do live debugging on the device side, which is a very rough way of solving things, but hey, you pain yourself sometimes. And I remember doing it, and I was sitting there. I was like, hey, this looks like a string that's input here, but I'm sending it a byte array, and that would explain why I'm overwriting the array, because it's not the same length. And I sitting there on stream, and like, and then running it like for the 100th time on the stream, expecting a failure, and it completes. And I'm like, did you guys just see this? And then all of a sudden, I were able to transform or convert his code into the Proxmark world and enabling me doing much more things. Yeah, that was such a soap.
Yeah, that sounds so cool. It must have been the best feeling ever.
It is.
Yeah. Okay, so I have a question in the chat. Any tips for how to contribute into open source projects? We might be shy to push our own code at first.
That's a great question. I mean, it's easy. The easy answer is, of course, don't be. But that doesn't handle them, the mental thing that you can have about it. But start simple. Today you can, if you think your code is not good enough, you can just ask Claude or ChatGPT to say, is this code nice enough? And it can make improvements, whatever, for you. And then you can make a pull request, or you start simple. I tell people, improve a help text. It's just text. So get started there. And a lot of people go like, oh, what should I start with? And I go like, okay, how good of a developer are you? And if you're not very good at all, but you still want to do things, I'll go like, you know what? You can go out and scan tags, and then you can see if you find something new. If you find some bus ticket system from your hometown or country or whatever, or gym card or something else, or gather something, and you gather information about that, and then you post about it. And maybe, like we do for Desfire cards right now, we collect AIDs, which is application identifiers, so we know which file that we're going to read on a Desfire card for that particular system. So we map out this gigantic dictionaries of existing systems and AIDs, what you need. It could be a part of that, right? So don't think just because you don't know how to code, you can't contribute. RFID hacking involves so much more of, data gathering and understanding and trying things. But there are, of course, amazing happenings sometimes when some really good people comes into this world by fluke. And right now, that was like a guy called Connor. That's his username on Discord, so I'm not outing him or her, I don't know. And Chicken Man from the Hashcat team. And that's a fucking fluke because I met Evil Mog in Tokyo in November for TenguCon and for AV Tokyo. So I was there, and I went and met Evil Mog. He's doing a lot of things. He's very outwards going. He runs a village. He has this Hashcat and Sake village, and he's doing talks. And I'm like, hey, yeah, great, let's do that. Let's drink and talk. That's fucking awful. So, and he's like, yeah, I'm into the Hashcat team. Okay, how do you know them? I'm like, no, I'm in the core team, man. It's like, okay, because it's hard to get their knowledge or access to them because there's so many people asking them for favors. But I was like, we could need some improvements. Do you mind you have someone that could sort us out? And even more goes like, yeah, sure. I just asked Chicken Man if he wants to do something, if he has some, if it's fun enough. I'm like, well, yeah, we got stuff that could be fun enough. And he shows up in the Discord and starts looking at some attacks and goes fucking bananas. He helps out with his iClass hacks from Anticlus in the chat here, by the way. And Anticlus makes this Hashcat plugin, and he's very proud of it because it's a fucking improvement. In comes Chicken Man and does his magic wizardry, dark voodoo style of code. And, it's like gigantic fast. It's like so lightning fast. It's like, oh, yeah. And he just makes it happen, right? And it's I don't know what to say. So that shows up, and yes, so we got these improvements there, and he's not done. He writes, well, I might be able to do something else, wherever it's funny. And because of that stuff, another guy, that Connor guy, shows up to Discord and go like, oh, well, how's your CUDA? Can I do something? He was like, yeah, well, if you're good at CUDA, do for it. Easy to say that you're good at it, And he just comes in and sweeps and improves a whole different kinds of attacks, and all of his stuff has just been merged into Proxmark repo. It's like yesterday. Fucking amazing. And then at Hashcat, there's a custom I think it's 2 new plugins that's like waiting to be merged into the Hashcat by Chicken Man. So it's going to be merged, right? And we're like, fuck yeah, I love this crossover between the communities. And it's just because we love doing things and because you're not a piece of shit, you're nice. So yeah, I get excited about those things.
Yeah, but actually, like working with people that are just like kind to you and like, want to share their knowledge is like a good experience because there's like a lot of, maybe not now. I don't know. I haven't met those people in a lot of years, but before there was a lot of people that were like guarding the doors and like, oh no, don't enter. It's like only for us, you don't know all the things. So, but now it's like
The
everyone is
gatekeepers,
come in, like ladies, everyone are welcome, and like it's so nice. And I had like bad experiences before working with women like in the government, but like it's like a different story kind of. But then I entered IT, and like all the men are like so nice and like so helpful, and like sometimes I was like working in the team where I was like the only female, and everyone was so welcoming and like, oh, like stay with us, don't be I don't know, not like in a creepy way, don't be scared, but like, yeah, we are here to help, and like ask us anything. So that was like, yeah, I was like, okay, I belong here. This is where I should stay. So that was like, yeah, very good.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing feeling? You
Yeah.
feel you get initially like, oh, okay, I find my spot, I find my peeps, right? It's very good to have.
Yeah, it's like you can build your own family like around yourself, like and with the people that are like just supporting you. And actually, I'm trying to be that person. I'm trying to be the senior that I didn't have when I was a junior to like everyone like around me, because yeah, I'm trying to hype them and like be their cheerleader. And there's like a lot of ladies that I met recently that are like just amazing and so intelligent, but they just don't believe in themselves. Like, and like, how can they break into the cybersecurity industry? And like, yeah, you can do it. And like, I give them tips and the paths. And so yeah, I just like those people are uh, like why we are here, right? So this community is like really really amazing. So that like yeah, this is my rant. Thank you for listening to my TED talk. So another question: with IceDev, you've bridged the gap between deep technical hardware and the consumer market. What makes hardware like a Proxmark 3 or the Flipper Zero feel special in your hands, and what it is about physical hardware hacking that brings a different kind of satisfaction that just than just writing software?
I've God, that's a good question. So the gap between technical hardware and consumer market. Yeah, okay, why? I think I started out, with Proxmark is the repo that I started. Oh, it's a fork. It's a fork. Remember that. Is I realized this is how I would like to work with this tool. So everything I do and all design choices, how that works, is based on the idea of how I like to work with it. It's not about how you like to work with it or someone else. This is like, okay, when I do things, I want to be able to do this, and then I need this and this support. And then, as always, for any cryptographic attack that it is, I want speed, right? I want the fastest there is. But the other part of the question is what brings a different kind of satisfaction than just writing software. Yeah, well, it's one thing to sit in front of your desk and solve a particular card tech. Yeah, I know that. I do that all the time. And it's a completely different story to going out in the world like you guys, like red teaming do, or pen testers if you're into that physical part, and trying out things for real, right? So I remember one time I had a real time. I had to go down and to my gym, and I wanted to copy the card. And we used this hard nonsense back in the days where you can just crack them. You need to do a sniff and do the MFK 32 MFK 64 on it. So I had to do that, and all of a sudden you stand there in an open gym, and you have to sniff the traffic with a device, and then not look creepy. So I went in there and I hid my chameleon. That was the tool of a choice, Batman, because that was standalone. It's made for that, So just do that, put in my glove, and just do that, and collect the stuff, crack the key when I got home. But it was like this dopamine kick. Next, yeah, I remember looking into more things, and then you start looking into other tools, and then you find something called the supercard. The supercard is a normal MicroClassic card, but it collects the data as well onto it, so you can extract. You present the card, it looks like a card, and it also stores the nonces on it. So you go back home, extract the nonces from the card, which is a storage part of it, and then you can crack the card, the key that the reader trying to introduce itself with. And then you realize, it's different tools for different scenarios out there in the real world. And it's so much different from saying, I know how to make this cryptographic attack work 5 seconds faster or 2 days faster versus going in front of a reader in a live scenario. And I mean, it's all about the dopamine, right? It's we all love that dopamine kick. And I can see why people just loves that stuff. I heard a story about red team, you have to verify this one is the tip. Yeah, okay, Blackie, this is for you. Is that like, the first tip we say is go to the toilet and, and calm down. You've done something. I'm like, oh, that sounds very practical. But yeah, you get a dopamine rush, right? It's not easy. luckily, I don't do this stuff. I'm a desktop jockey.
But actually, with the toilet, that's like a good tip, and I heard it before that you can just go to the toilet and like make one of the stalls like I don't know occupied or like out of service and like stay in that stall, and then people will like choose the ones on the sides, and your pants go down, and then it's your device next to the pants, and you collect the badges because some of the
Yeah,
people wear them on the belt.
yeah. I think that's not okay. That's just nasty. That's not fair. You can't assume that it should be safe space sitting on the toilet.
Yeah. It's like
But of course it's not, and an adversary doesn't mind at all. So yeah.
yeah. I just went to do my thing, and like my badge got stolen. Like
Yeah, exactly.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, another question is like a bit on the poetic side, maybe the way I'm asking it, but like let's go. RFID and NFC are invisible waves constantly floating all around us in our daily lives, in our pockets, our building badges, our credit cards. Do you look at the wireless spectrum the way the painter looks at the landscape, seeing all the hidden layers that the average person just walks right past? So, like to ask the question differently, as with all your knowledge, do you like look at this like RFID, NFC world in a different way?
Yeah, obviously I do. I can't get away from that one by now. You get marked with it so much, but maybe I'm not like a painter. I don't know how they would look at it, but I've become so much aware about all the wireless communication in everyday life. When that comes, with awareness, you come be aware about both weaknesses and strengths, right? So the it's just part of it. You walk by readers and you're like, oh, I wonder what technology is. Or if you're like, oh, I recognize that reader. This is this technology, and that is suspicious to this and this. And this is what I would have done to clone a card and badge myself in here. It's just, you get damage from the knowledge.
Yeah, I do agree with that, and like I had the same experience after like a physical pen testing training. I was like opening safes and like using under the door tools and breaking locks and like the shimming doors and like all that stuff, and then like finding out how to open the key box with like finding the dimples, and like I there is like so much knowledge in a week, and then leaving the training I was just like walking around, and it was like the same as you just told us that, oh, this is the key box, I can open that in 3 minutes, this is that kind of a lock, or those door or shimmable, this is like this kind of like the camera, this is like, yeah, the knowledge is like yeah, like as you said before, like Neo, oh, I know kung fu, and it's like, yeah, different layer of like seeing things, yeah.
It is. It's amazing. I mean, it just comes part of it. So, I mean, you do what you need to do, and you work with it. You have to be aware of these things. It's part of your training. It's part of your everyday work, right? So, for you, it's just part of it, and for me, it's just I have an unhealthy obsession. No, it's not unhealthy. It's just I have a healthy obsession about knowing things and solving problems. Like I said before, I love solving problems. I also know that what I don't know is that I can ask people. I'm never afraid of asking questions to people, right? So people ask me that, and we're like, no, I ask questions. I do that all the time. I was the number one poster on the forum just asking questions endlessly. People must have been so tired of me. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care. It's just if I don't ask questions, I can't get knowledge, right? So, like I said, when you're humble enough that you want to learn, it doesn't matter. You just ask questions enough, and then the coin clicks. Eventually, the coin drops, and you're like, now I get it. Okay, cool. And then you go on and move on, and then people go like, "Oh, you're so good at things." So like, yeah, well, I wasn't in the beginning.
Yeah.
I was like you. I asked a lot of questions. So I'm lucky in that sense because nowadays people answer all my emails. I've been very blessed in that way, right? So because of my work, what I do with open source, people tend to answer my questions very much more than other people, right? So I have community respect behind me, and that helps. Yes, it does. And but it's also for the benefit of the whole community, right? So I know the crossovers. That's why we could do things like the Hashcat crossover, right? And amazing things.
Yeah, actually, I agree with you, and that you have to have a lot of humility. And I was like, I had to learn that too when I entered cybersecurity. Although my core character trait is like I'm a learner, so if I have something to learn, and I thought, okay, cybersecurity is great because every day new vulnerabilities, new 0 days, it's amazing, you know. Like every day I can learn something, and it's like a watermill for me. It's like yeah. I'm like self-motivating all the time because all those cool. So at first I felt like, oh, there's like I so much things that I don't know. It's like kind of like overwhelming. But then I figure out the path, what I should go. And like for example, I want to be on the red side, so maybe blue side it shouldn't be distracting to me. Let's put it on the side for now, and then focus on this one thing. So yeah, the humility I had to learn because I'm talking a lot, but I'm just like trying to finish here. At first, I felt like, oh my God, I'm so stupid. I will not figure this out. And then I had to rewrite my brain into thinking in a positive way. Oh, I don't know it yet. I'm not stupid. I'm very intelligent and capable, and I believe I can do it. So, and then rewriting the brain into like the positive side was like like a game changer for me because it's like no matter what comes my way, I will figure it out, and nothing like it's like yeah making me frustrated. Although I do admit, trying to go through the OECP like course was like making me very angry and frustrated, but like this is like another story for a different
Yeah,
time.
but doing the certs and all that stuff is amazing. So here's the thing: I don't have any of those. It doesn't matter anyway, because
Yeah,
I make the tools that people use instead, right? So yeah,
yeah, and I actually like figured out, oh, maybe like with the knowledge I have and like being like more specialized into like physical pen testing and social engineering. So I like, oh, maybe it's like not, I didn't pass the first time. So maybe not having OCP is not a big deal. So yeah, I would just try to get a second try with this exam just like for myself. But I don't feel like, yeah, to get a job, I don't feel like necessarily it's yeah, like urgent for me, but like, let's put it on the shelf for now and like ask you the next question. So, the Flipper Zero brought RFID exploitation to the mainstream, making it accessible to thousands of hobbyists. How do you feel about this democratization of hacking? And do you think it helped to demystify cybersecurity for the average person? Or maybe the opposite, because I still see some articles, oh, Flipper Zero is like the evil tool, and like people are like writing the articles or like the news coverage like to create fear in people. So yeah, what is your opinion on that?
yeah, we had a lot of discussions about this one over the years with people in the community about that. So it's just another tool.
Yeah,
The barrier to entry is extremely low, right? So it's designed for anyone to use it, right? And with that comes irresponsible actions and all that stuff. But it is what it is. It's just a tool. It's nothing new. All the attacks that you see there are and were in different hardware and different manifestations, and existed way before. It's they didn't bring anything new to the market in that sense. They brought a nice way where in a nice package, form factor, and gamification to it, in the same way like the Pornogotchi did, right? So it's a combination of all these things. Is it good or bad? Yeah, well, it comes down to the moral of the story, right? So what's the moral, right? Do good? I don't know. When you analyze security, you need to have the tools. People have to be aware. You need to have tools in order to do research. And you can either lock it up, like you say before, gatekeeping it with very expensive things. Is that the best? I don't know. Sometimes a lot of company doesn't listen. So Flipper was really a game changer that way because brought a simple tool with a very great demo wow effect to people in the faces, right? People in charge, people who have to make decisions about things. And that is good, of course, when you do your reports, I guess if you're into pen testing and all that, you don't say I used a flipper 0 to do this and this and this, right? You don't do that. You don't write that. You just write the knowledge about what kind of weakness that the system actually had. You don't say which tool you used, right? You do the tool using because it's a demo thing when people don't believe you. So that's a very good thing for Flipper, right? And well, like I said a little bit before, is we see it as a stepping stone, right? So our RFID hacking community see that, if you get more curious and you want to learn more, you will end up in our community, and that's good for us. So we don't see any competition in that sense. There was some expectation. I've been talking to other people who were in charge of those open source repositories that Flipper took from. We had all of us, I think, this idea. Oh, great! Maybe the promises that we're going to put things upstream, and contribute back, and it didn't turn out that way, and that's a little sad. But hey, they do their thing, and they're good at it. Who can complain about that?
Yeah, it's like it's just a tool. Yeah, it's just how you use it is just another thing. So yeah, you can
Yeah.
use it in a good way and to do malicious stuff as well. So yeah, depends. But also, thank you for answering. And I'm going to slightly. We go into segment 3 of this, and I wanted to ask about Proxmark 3 now, and then I will slowly close up the stream, and so I will make this screen tiny and show the video on LinkedIn that you shared today. So this is a demo of how the Proxmark 3 and Flipper 0 integration looks like now. And I just have to mute it, and let's. Yeah, it's like looping, so let's finish the second one, maybe. Okay, getting back to you, full screen. And my question is, people in the community are incredibly excited about the Proxmark 3 and its potential integration with the Flipper 0. Can you tell us more about the project, and what are you most proud of in this design?
Wow. I see it's another question in the chat as well. We can take that one later on. So the Proxmark 3. Yes. This is my prototype that I got. Let's see. Yeah. It's
Wow.
it's a little bit bigger than the RV4. Still has this. Well, you have a different antenna on this one here, so you don't see very much, but you can see that it's bigger, right? First of all, one of it. Oh, you can't see it. I have to back up. Let's see. Can you do? Can I do this way? Nope. You there? Okay. Let's do this way. Yes. Here we go. Yes. All right. So nope. Takes a while for the Twitch stream to do it. So up here you see the new connectors. Here it has the 6 screws that is very hard, but it's all swappable, right? So the RV4 had 6 screws that you had to do to swap antennas. They were annoying. It had this FPC cable that you can hook up to a Bluetooth add-on with a battery, and it was a very nice, smooth form factor, right? It fits in your palm like that. Very nice. With a new one, it's a little bit bigger. The antenna is better tuned. You can different voltages of it, and you can disconnect it very easily in that sense, and swappable.
Ooh.
So that's exciting. And the connectors here, the GPIO pins for it is for connecting, as you saw, to the flipper, or is it the USB-C port where? But anyway, you can talk and connect to it completely differently. It has an ESP32 for Bluetooth and or BLE and Wi-Fi connections. It had a battery also well built into it. Let's see if I can do open it a little bit with my fingers, because fingers. Yeah, so if I take off the lid, this is where the battery will be. And yeah, it's different. It's a larger FPGA and it's a better MCU on it than the old one. The old one was end of life, out of life, and it couldn't hardly get any more components for it. So this was necessary to have a new hardware platform, and I think it's great. It makes a difference, right? It has USB-C and all that stuff. Now, the thing is, what people are a little bit confused about is like, oh wow, it says Proxmark and it says Iceman everywhere on it, and it's very nice. I have not been very involved in the design. This is honest and fair, and I've said this on Discord as well. This reason why my name is on it more is because Dennis asked me, and it's more like an homage to my long contribution to the community. They asked Philip Turvin and Dodek as well, but he's a little bit more humble than I am, so I said yes. But and now and I'm also, like you say, I'm also the poster boy for the RFID hacking community. So if you ever wanted the community support behind it, and I'm happy for it, because like I said before in the earlier today, is getting and making a tool takes time and effort and pressure, and every time something comes out, it really helps the community in one or another way. I'm going to hold it like this because I see that your on Twitch stream is over there. And people are curious about how to interact with Flipper Zero. And like, yes, it's going to be a cable, but it has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, so you can connect over it. Will it be a FAP? Yes, it most likely will be a FAP in it, so you can do it. Would you be able to use your Android and iOS phone? Yes, you will be able to. You'd be able to use your Android and iPhone, because Bluetooth, BLE, is a modern version of it, so you can do that as well. So those old UIs can do it as well nowadays. Is there an existing FAP and all that stuff? No, because it's early development. It will be, and it will be open source as well. The Kickstarter is out, so it's been tremendously successful. I think we're up to $586,000 and about 1,480 backers, which is fucking tremendous. It's been out for a couple of days, and please go and support it, because we think it's a great thing. I think it's a great thing. And in the end of the day, the old hardware, if you have it and you're satisfied with it, it will keep on working like it did before. It is based out of the box with the Proxmark3 source code, right? So you get all the functionality that's already there from the start with this one. So it's nothing that has to be invented or anything new like that. What is not there right now is FAPs, Flipper FAPs. There's not Bluetooth or Android or iPhone apps out there, but whenever people want to be into the hype and people want to get the devices, I'm pretty sure that Dennis and I will make sure that it's all out open source, so people can contribute and do their things with it, right? And you can stay on the old device, it doesn't matter, but I will use the new device, because the old device can't be bought anymore. You can't use it in that sense. For me, it's necessary. And I just tried a little bit running the client, because I got the client working. DXL, who uses and developer, this main developer of this one, is a great developer. He sent over the client and firmware, so I flashed it, looking how that looks like. It's a little bit different, and I ran the client, and I realized the bigger FPGA makes it run so much smoother. And you go like, oh yeah, I really like this, because it's more speed and more accurate and has more compute power, right? So what people will be able to do with this is, it's a modern hardware platform, and it will be able to do many more things, maybe running more local attacks. It comes with a battery straight out of the box. So for red teaming, or physical evaluations, yeah, they will do it. Yeah, it's a little bit big. Yeah, it is. It's a little bit big, but I think manage anyway. Another big thing that I like with it is that it has the ideas of hooking up an ultra high frequency antenna, so we can do some serious research on that as well. So it's a modern hardware platform for doing RFID research. Like a person like me myself is like very excited for it, because it just gives me a simplified way where all the RFID research in the world is already working on a Proxmark, and now we have a new one to do it, and I'm very, very happy about that, and I hope it goes well. And I hope you guys are also excited about it, and I hope you all go out and support us now, and spread the word about it, so we can have the clear case version of it. So we want that stretch goal, clear case.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. And I actually shared the link, and I want to be a backer too, because I'm really excited about this too. And I actually feel like this could be my next step after Flipper. If I'm serious about physical pen testing, so yeah, I definitely will check it out like after the stream, like how to become the backer. But thank you for
Yeah,
introducing.
if you're serious into physical access, yeah, I mean, you give it 1 year, 2 years, and then people go like, huh, so you don't use the new stuff. Okay. No, you as a professional, you don't want to experience that.
Yeah. And so thank you actually for the demo, because I haven't seen it like all the functionalities of that. So you just showed us, and that was like, yeah, that's all I wanted to know. And you asked some questions that I wanted to ask next when you were doing that. So yeah, thank you, great presentation. And I wanted to read the question that was in the chat. How is your relationship with the industry? Do you have a friendly dialogue with the vendors like NXP, or are they hostile to your work, maybe to the point of involving lawyers?
Yeah, it's a common question. It's a good question as well. Are vendors, do they like me or don't like me? I don't know if the people like me in that sense, but they do respect honesty and what I represent. Uh, I try to, it's one thing I try to give to the community is like, don't bash on vendors if you find a bug or anything like that. It's not, it's not deliberately that they did it. They had a budget, they had a resource planning things, right? So it doesn't come out that easy. Whether NXP or HID or any other vendors, if they like me or not, I don't. I know that they use my tools. End of the day, they use the Proxmark. They know it, I know it, and they have to do it because it's part of their evaluation of things. And I do run a company that do RFID research and stuff like that. So yeah, love me or hate me, but it gives them both sides. It's a tool. It gives both sides a proper evaluation of their own tools, so they can claim that they are good, and me or anyone else as a buyer of something can evaluate it and say yes, it is, or no, it isn't. So I think it brings fairness and equality in that sense to the whole ecosystem. And it's all about learning. We don't want people to walk out and clone things just because we can. We don't want people to clone bus tickets. We don't want people to, try to do credit fraud or whatever people try to do. Is like, yes, we just point out that the tech that your multi-tenant house installed has issues, and you may be vendor locked in, and maybe other people will be able to clone it. And that's it. How would you be able to say that if there were no RFID researchers out there like me
Yeah,
giving that
exactly.
tool?
Yeah, and I think also maybe that's necessary that researchers find the flaw and report it back to the company, and then I feel it's like they can improve it, so I feel it as a good thing, right? But sometimes companies react in a different, like get offended or like angry that you were actually doing the research on their tools, and so it's like sometimes I feel we are just like big kids, and playing with toys and reacting in like different ways. But overall, like research is a good thing, and if it's like reported with like a ethical manner and it's like a good yeah, if we do it for like a good cause, then yeah, I feel it's as a positive way, as a positive side
I
to
can
it.
tell you a story about where it's not that happy
Yeah,
about things. I mean, if you were to release keys and all that stuff, people is not going to be happy about it. And I tried to say a bit of RFID, like hotel hacking. I said, like, there's nothing that positive that comes out from the fact that you make sure that you let 1 million Flipper users be able to clone a hotel card in 2 seconds. It's nothing good that's going to come out of that one. You didn't, bring the knowledge to shoot the whole system down. You didn't make a vendor a chance to, sort it out. You just want to see the world burn. And since we don't do that, that's why people can respect what I do more than not. And it's a fine balance, to walk that line. I can tell you one area which people really don't like me to look into things, and that's the car industry.
oh yeah,
The car industry really are legislative. Is that what you want the word? And they like to send the lawyers and threaten you and stuff like that. So yeah, and that's really gatekeeped as well. So yeah, I leave it with that.
yeah. Let's not go deeper into that topic. But next question: as the technology evolves, RFID security is getting tougher, which means the puzzles get more complex. When you run into a really stubborn security protocol or a hardware limitation, how do you step back, take a breath, and find a piece to solve it without getting frustrated?
That's a great question. How do I overcome getting stuck? Well, my approach to solving things is never to get stuck. That sounds funny enough, but yeah. So if I find myself getting stuck, I realize it, and then I actually just swap over to another technology. I have so much stuff I can look into, so another problems. So I just swap over and start learning something new and start focusing on that, and that gives me a feeling of momentum and that something's going on. I learn. Yeah, and give it enough time, like a couple of months, I can go back again to the original problem, and I can see things from a completely new perspective with new eyes, and then I can have success. I maybe have made a new contact that helped me do things, and it's been very, very successful for me doing that. It's the idea of focus on the solutions and not on the problems. The problems is always going to be there. Just focus on the solutions, right? And just don't get stuck.
Yeah, precisely. Thank you. That's a great answer and very helpful as well. Okay, next question. I'm just slowly going to close it up. Uh, the next question is a bit weird, so let's skip that one. But let's go back to the Bob Ross thing. So Bob Ross used to say, "We don't make mistakes; we just make happy accidents." And in the high-stakes world of cybersecurity, mistakes can sometimes feel catastrophic. How can we, as a community, shift our mindset to view security vulnerabilities and failures not as shameful defects, but as opportunities to learn and build something stronger together?
It comes back to leadership again, right? So, like I mentioned a little bit briefly before, is that I do not try to shame manufacturers or designers, right, of systems. I try to spread that in community, that mindset of saying that, because if you understand it, we're all humans, right? In the end, it's like that team that designed this system, they mostly got a project plan with resources allotted. They usually got timelines assigned to them, short most likely. And they, as good engineers, did what they actually do to solve that problem with that project plan in the best way they knew how to do it. And to be really fair and honest, a designer and engineer is not a hacker. It's two completely different mindsets. So you can design a system and it's good because that's what you tell them to do. But you never told it to design the system and hack the shit out of it and see if it's still the best. Completely different people. The ones who design it cannot hack it as well. Oh, some can maybe, but they don't have an idea of ways of how a modern hacker look at things today. So just wrap that one up. I would say when things go wrong in the design or something comes out there, all the manufacturers or hackers, whatever, ask yourself why it went wrong, and then focus on finding a solution instead. It's make something good out of it. Don't feel ashamed about it.
Yeah, that's a good answer. And also, like, my thoughts on like the designing and hacking thing was like, to design something, I think you have like different parts of your brain are working than when you're like thinking outside of the box how to break this. So yeah, that's like, as you said, totally different person. And I don't feel like I would be a good like designer slash programmer, but I do have like this natural, like, I don't know, talent that when I touch something, it breaks. So I thought, okay, I'm going to be a good tester. so yeah, that's like, you have to have like something that you're good at, and yeah, you kind of feel it. Are you a designer or are you a hacker? Are you maybe someone totally out different that I didn't mention here? So thank you for answering. And like I'm going to start asking closing up questions, and I always try to like ask my guests on how like a beginner should start the path, and like some like advice for people that just want to enter the industry. So those questions are going to follow next. So how a beginner in the field of cybersecurity interested in RFID hacking would find his/her own path to where you are now, and what would be your advice for such a person?
Yeah, that's a great one. I would say, based on all my experience from it, is get involved in an open source project. I think that is the most excellent way in whatever you do. Like I said, you don't have to commit code. Maybe you do commit text changes or whatever. Just get curious on that one. Go to a conference or two, and then you get involved in a community or village, right? At that conference is the best way. And then when you do that, you volunteer, right? So you get friends, you get to know people, you become someone, and people understand what you want and not want to do, and you share some mutual interest, right? So you build up a network of people, and that one is going to be your, support when, wanting you to do more and pushing you. Oh, you're going to do that? Are you looking at that? Are you going to that conference? Are you doing this? Do you want to hang out? We have a Discord here, it just spreads from there.
Yeah, that's a great advice. Networking is the where you go first.
Yeah.
And asking questions, obviously. So okay. Next question is: what qualities do you believe all highly successful researchers share?
I wouldn't know, I would say, but look at great
Curiosity, maybe.
visionaries.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at great visionaries like Steve Jobs or Elon Musk, right? They all have their vision, and they are all completely convinced that their vision and way is the right one. So we had a saying when I was growing up, and it goes like this, something like this. It goes like, the line between madness and genius is hair fine. That means actually, if you're successful doing something, people will say you're a genius. If you fail at something, they will call you just a mad person. And that's how it is. The highly visionaries we look up today could have equally been two great mad people. And that's it. I think it's just they have hyper focus of their idea is the right one, and they do anything. They have nothing going to stop them doing anything against them achieving that vision that they want to see become, right? So they manifest all of the time and energy on making their vision true. And and if they are good at involving other people in that, that's part of it. And other people start believing in your vision, and you get access to resources and money and all that stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, actually, like what I was thinking just now is you can be, it all depends on how the society will like uh, accept what you try to explain to them. So it's kind of like you need a good marketing specialist to explain it to the society. Oh, this is so cool. This person is like, and there is like, oh, decision, a genius madman, So it's, yeah,
Yeah, we follow leaders, right?
yeah.
That's what we follow. We as humans, right? So if it's an inspirational leader comes out there, and they have a clear vision that we talk about in a way that touches you, and you can see, I want a part of this journey that this vision is going to do, and because it's going to change my life, and that's it.
Yeah, you have to, yeah, share your passion with other people. Yeah, that's actually good point. Okay, next question. What early mistakes shaped you the most, and what have you learned from them? If that's like okay to ask.
Sorry, that's a great question. Though it's so many mistakes I've done, but in the end of the day, it's never give up. It's never that black, it's never that bad, and focus on the solution instead. Don't get stuck in analyzing the problem. You just focus on solving instead. Don't think about the problem, just accept that you have a problem and you go on with it. That's the message I can say, and it's been really good for me.
Actually, that's the best answer that I could get for that question. So yeah, thank you. And next one is, what do you feel was your biggest win in life then?
Yeah, that's an easy one. My kids, the joy and pride of my life. I have two sons.
Yeah, great answer as well. Thank you. And so, what message would you like to convey to our listeners who are just starting out in their own careers, especially those from underrepresented groups? I don't know if there are like any of those in the chat right now or like watching, but maybe later on YouTube. So,
I think I say it doesn't matter who you are and what they are from.
yeah.
I treat people equal in that sense. So I say to anyone, like I say to any newcomer, get involved, find your passion, and the rest will follow. Right? Just because we can't see the end of a journey doesn't mean we're not doing the journey. So just as long as you just start asking questions, doing all this, going to conference, it's a journey, right? So you change mentally and all that stuff. You're doing the journey without knowing that you are doing the journey. And don't see yourself, if you say as a minority. I mean, if you start that, you start to focus on a problem, right? You already a problem. It's like you focus on the problem. It's like, oh fuck it, skip that. Just focus on the solution. The solution is get involved with something and do that, and then you don't have a problem. For me, it's very much easy.
Simple.
Simple.
Yeah. So I always ask this question. So, what's your favorite hacker movie, and why does it resonate with you? If you have one.
I have two of them actually. It comes a little bit ages, right? I'm an older guy. So first one is Hackers from the 90s with Robert. What was his name? Wow, God.
I just remember Angelina Jolie there.
Yeah. You think? Oh, yeah. Now I'm thinking of Sneakers. Yeah. Exactly. No, I'm thinking of Sneakers. A '96 movie, Sneakers. Yeah, with Robert Redford.
Yeah, that's a great
And
one.
yeah, it's a great one. I like that one. It really describes red teaming, physical tests. I like it, and different aspects of knowledge and competence, and yeah, it's great. But if I go really way back in the time when it changed me as a little boy, that was the movie called War Games, one of the first computer hacking movies that was like out there.
I love
One
that
of the
one.
guy who called out to hack, the American nuclear facility, Joshua, and all that stuff. Yeah, I like that. I even have a book actually. Yeah.
Yeah, that movie is so cool. I watched it like, I don't know, tens of times. Okay.
Yeah, that is Star Wars, but it's not a hacking movie.
Yeah, Star Wars, obviously. I just watched it for Han Solo at first because he was so, I don't know, I liked his attitude in a way, that he's so confident.
Yeah, you like the wild one, didn't you? Yeah, I
Yeah.
get it.
Obviously Chewie and his sounds as well. A joke in here. Okay, so my next question is, what is your favorite food or dish? Because I'm a foodie, so I always ask.
I love a good steak. What more can I say? I like my steak.
Now I kind of want one. Thank you, thank you for sharing. And that's it. I don't have any more questions, and I don't see anything else in the chat. So, do you have any golden words at the end, final words that you want to share with everyone to close the stream?
Well, yeah, we'll go out and support Proxmark 3 so we can have a clear case, spread the word of the gospel about it, and be happy. Otherwise, go and hack all the systems you do, man. Go and be just an awesome person. Go out and be that awesome hacker that you can be. Hack some shit. Use AI to help you sort it out. It doesn't matter today. And sign up for Capture the Flag. Sign up for your first paper. You sign up for your first talk. Go out there, go out and ask questions. And if you see me somewhere in a conference or wherever you are, don't be shy, don't be anything like that. I don't bite. I'm very approachable in that sense, and say hi. And when you do, you can tell me your best war story that you had so far about hacking.
Oh, I have to prepare that one. So thank you for coming to my podcast. I really appreciate that. And I have to admit, I was a bit like intimidated because you have so much knowledge and you're like amazing person. But then you're like also yeah, very cool and a very friendly person. So that was a great episode for me. And so I really appreciate you. Uh, and thank you for all like the knowledge that you shared with us. And now I'm going to wave and change the screen. So thank you everyone for coming and bye.
Thank you for having me, Dorothea. And it was awesome being on.
Yeah, that was like great talking with you. Bye.